We are here after a
Oh, whoops.
wild week 12.
Mm-hmm.
Is it week 12?
12. 12.
That sounds right.
I just hit record
Putting the
because
tinfoil hats on.
we were just talking, and then the
Mhm.
conversation naturally kind of drifted toward ball. So figured we'd just fire it up. Fellas, how we doing?
Nice little cold open. Doing good. I'm genuinely curious though. Right before you hit record, you were saying there was some very outlandish
Yes.
scenario.
Okay.
I'd like to hear that before anything else.
Yes.
So
to provide context, we are talking SEC potential outcomes.
It's the best conversation in college football right now.
Exactly.
If you don't agree, kick rocks. It's the most entertaining conference in college football.
I mean, you have 6 teams within a game of each other.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Georgia just played their last SEC game. So nuts.
Yes.
All right. So
You
Noah,
ready?
what do we got?
Continue.
So I want you to guess the teams in this after I read out what has to happen. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Texas loses to Kentucky and A&M. They have to lose both.
That would drop them to 5-3.
Yes.
Yeah, they're out completely.
A&M obviously beats Texas, but loses to Auburn.
5-2 or 6-2. Okay.
Tennessee loses to Vanderbilt.
5-3.
Alabama loses to Oklahoma and Auburn.
Oh,
4-4. Okay.
Ole Miss loses to Florida and Mississippi State.
One of those might happen. We'll talk about it later, though.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later.
And then LSU lost to Vandy or Oklahoma.
So they would also be 4-4.
There is a 0.000001% chance that this scenario takes place. And any guesses of who would meet in the SEC title game?
Is that Georgia A&M?
Close.
Or A&M, right? Is in there?
Is it Georgia Scar?
That is correct. Georgia.
Let's go!
I forgot about the Cox. I got caught slipping.
Well, because South Carolina has the tiebreaker over A&M. So
yeah,
this would also. Right. Well, this would require A&M to drop 2 SEC games not named Texas. Correct. That's what you just said.
Okay. Yes.
That is possible, hypothetically.
Hypothetically.
No, it is not. No, it is not. If they beat Texas, they only have Auburn left to play.
A&M would lose to Auburn but beat Texas in this scenario.
Well, then they would be 6-2 in conference play.
It would be some sort of tiebreaker. I think. I don't know. This is Twitter. Don't trust it. I trusted it, but it's entertaining as hell to talk about. Honestly.
No, I agree.
Yeah, I've honestly on Twitter been hearing more and more about bringing South Carolina into the playoff conversation, and even if it's not feasible, I do think that they're one of the most underrated teams in college football this season. Because a couple of snaps go differently, a couple calls fall their way, and they're looking pretty damn good right now.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they, split Alabama and LSU, they're right there. So their front seven is insane.
Absolutely.
And that one kid, he's only true freshman, right? For we are talking about Carolina, right? Still?
Yes, we're talking
about Carolina. Yes.
The kid, I'm blanking on his name 100% right now, but he is a true freshman. Just absolute. The kid who did the shotgun, Stewart, I think is his last name.
Evan Stewart.
Nah,
is that his name?
Stewart.
No. I know. His last name is Stewart.
It's escaped.
We don't know ball.
Sorry, I'm still stuck on if there's a
Dylan
chance.
Stewart.
Dylan, Evan, same shit. Sorry, Dylan. We don't know ball.
So
like Dylan's watching this shit. Anyways,
comment down below. We'll deactivate right now, Dylan.
I'll kill myself on Facebook Live.
Whoa. Okay. If chalk holds currently, it is looking like a Texas Alabama matchup. Which
Honestly, bring it on.
yeah, because like we were talking about earlier, I think with where UGA sits, I mean, we'll see tomorrow when the CFP rankings come out to make sure. But where UGA was sitting this past CFP rankings, and with the performance that we just put on tape, I think it can only help us if we do not make the SEC championship. Just because, hypothetically, if we make it to Atlanta and then lose, that would pretty much be a death sentence, rankings wise.
Mm-hmm.
But
That was my question. I was holding back on, and we can discuss it later.
yes,
Does a 10-3 Georgia make the playoff? We can save that for later, but
we
I
can have
think
that
it's closer than you might think. Don't call me a homer because I am, but
yeah, 2 degrees.
yeah, exactly. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't love the possibility of being disqualified for making a game that's like the highest honor in the conference. So
Just to
but I
point
mean,
out how
it's possible.
just to point out how close it is, if chalk holds, right, if all the favorites win out the rest of the season, then that would put Texas at 7-1 in conference play, and then there would be 5 teams at 6-2 in conference play, which are Alabama, Ole Miss, Georgia, Tennessee, and
Tennessee.
Texas A&M. And because of the way the tiebreakers in the head-to-head games have gone, honestly, if Georgia's win against Tennessee and Texas are really screwing this up because Alabama and Ole Miss have both beaten Georgia. But anyway, the next level is winning percentage amongst conference opponents. And right now, Alabama is sitting at .509 at 27-26. And Georgia is sitting at .451 at 23-28. Texas A&M is at 442, Ole Miss is at 400, and Tennessee is at 396.
That would explain what we were discussing before we hit record, where I'd said that Georgia has now the third best odds. I think we're like plus 300 something. Alabama's plus 200 something. Then I think Texas like plus 185 to win the SEC.
So pretty much at this point, if you bet on Georgia to make the conference championship game, you're betting that Auburn's going to beat Alabama, pretty much.
Or Oklahoma. That's no gimme. They're
Oklahoma.
in Norman. They're in Norman.
Which I think if you do that, I think you would probably make more money betting on the underdog to win that game. I think you'd get better odds than plus 300.
You're probably right. Yeah.
Probably right.
Yep.
But I mean, crazier things have happened.
Yeah. I mean, legitimately. Like, I remember, what was it, 23rd? 24? 20, whatever. There was one season where Alabama had lost to Ole Miss and was pretty much on the outside looking in for the BCS race behind, I think, LSU and Kansas State. And Kansas State lost a fucking barn burner to close out the end of the season to, I think, a Kansas team that had no right to be on the same field with Kansas State that year.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Connor
Any given
Klein,
Saturday.
Kansas State.
Colin Klein?
Calvin
Klein. Hey.
Oh boy, one of them.
Is it Connor Klein? Seriously?
I think it's I don't know.
I think it's Colin, but
I think it's
close
Did
enough.
I say Connor? Fuck.
Connor Stallions.
No,
Anyway,
Snowball. It's fine. It's fine.
Okay, here's what I have in front of me. The playoffs are on the 20th and the 21st, and then the quarterfinals on the 31st and the 1st, normal. What used to be the semifinal games. And then now the semis are on the 9th and the 10th, and the national championship is on the 20th.
I love more football.
More football is fantastic.
A lot more
meaningful
football.
It's so good. We don't have to wait
I love
a
it.
month for the meaningful games. Like, I love Bowl Mania as much as the next guy. Like, you stick around for our Bowl Mania content. We pretty much follow every game.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know.
I have gone on record saying that Bowl Mania is it's oversaturated. I love it because I love watching football.
Yeah.
However,
it
becomes a bit much. Yeah.
There's nothing better than like some random Tuesday in December before Christmas at noon. You turn your TV on and it's Idaho and Wyoming in like
Yeah.
not
The
Potato
Boca
Bowl.
Raton Bowl.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's sick.
Yeah. Me personally, I think you should have to win 8 games to be bowl eligible. But that's just me.
That's less money for college football, though. And
That's
they
true.
will not have that.
That's true, and that's not going to happen ever.
Mm-hmm.
So.
They said 500, you're good enough. Go play a bowl game.
They may have more
but-
bowl games now. They're gonna probably have to cut a check to players.
Shit, they might. Well, like, I don't know, man. Like, I was trying to explain bowl games to a couple of coworkers of mine that are from not the U.S. I had such a hard time doing it. I pretty much had to like break down 150 years of lore into like 5 minutes. I was like, okay. So the media used to decide who the national champion was. And now, and then we turned over to computers, and now we have a 12-person committee, and the national championship game, or the national championship like playoff, has expanded from 2 teams to 4, and now 12. And then okay. So those are the only teams that play later in the season. I was like, oh, shit.
Nope.
No.
They're the only ones that play meaningful football.
The bad ones play.
You know,
too.
if you want to go win the belt bowl.
Yeah. I was like, no, there are bowl games, which are like postseason games that aren't in the playoffs. I don't know. I was like, guys, I don't know how to describe this to you without talking your ear off in the next 3 hours about explaining the whole background information to you. Because they were able to much easier follow the NFL format.
That's valid.
Which
it's more straightforward.
A lot more straightforward.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm sure they don't know college basketball either, but it's like the NIT of college football.
That's
it's like you're not playing for it, but you're still playing in something. That would have gone probably even further over their heads. So
yeah.
I think the best way I can describe it is like you said, they didn't play a national championship game for the longest time. It was kind of like the baby steps leading up to that. They wanted to see how the teams that didn't play in the regular season and conference championships, how they would stack up. That's about all I got. I don't know.
Yeah.
And money.
Yeah.
Money.
And money.
In the end.
Money.
Sponsors, brand deals. So.
There you go. Summed it up in one word.
That's right. Money. So.
All right. So we've talked
week
SEC.
12.
Go ahead and get that out of the way. Yeah. I just think it's crazy. The SEC is this insane the first year they get rid of divisions. I bet, in the meetings and everything, it's like, it'll work itself out. You see all these other conferences. It doesn't work itself out.
Yeah. I mean, it's if you're the SEC, right, are you, you're happy, right?
Yeah. Because you have more playoff contending teams.
Yeah, there's parity in your conference. Like, this is good. Because they're like, whoever the fuck Auburn's playing this week, Auburn has a real shot at taking them out of the conference race. Or whoever Kentucky's playing this week. Like, yeah, there's no shot they're going to make the conference championship. But they could take whoever they're playing out of the game. Or Oklahoma. Like, I don't know. Mm-hmm. There's just so many teams that still have a shot.
Could you imagine if this Auburn team knocked Alabama out of the playoff?
They would hang a statue of Peyton Thorne and
Brian Denny.
Oh boy!
They were in Jordan Hare last year.
Yes, they were.
Yeah, I don't know if Toomer's Corner will have seen that much toilet paper ever if they pulled that off.
I'm throwing paper towels.
Yeah, cover more area.
Yeah,
more surface area.
Exactly. And we're talking bounty, Name brand shit.
It's shelling out, yeah.
Okay, this is kind of getting ahead of ourselves into our kind of preview. A&M's only a 2.5-point favorite at Auburn this week. Pretty wild.
A&M should definitely win that game by at least a field goal. Unless there's something that Vegas knows that I don't.
Most of the time that is the case for all of us, but...
on the road in the SEC.
I don't know. That seems a bit
low.
Yes.
I mean, we're talking about an A&M team that took Missouri to the woodshed. Now, to be fair, that was at home. We're also talking about an A&M team that went into Death Valley. Like, I don't know. You're also talking about an A&M
We'll save
team
that
that
for later.
lost in Columbia. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Getting ahead of
Sorry.
ourselves.
Anyways,
Takeaways
we
from
can-
week 12.
yeah, roll into recap.
Yeah.
Takeaways from week 12. There is no premier alpha this year. I mean, obviously the SEC has kind of cannibalized itself. Oregon did not look good on the road
They
at
didn't.
Wisconsin. They escaped with a 16-13 win.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Surprised me. I mean, I know Camp Randall Stadium, it's menacing. It's one of the best, game day atmospheres in the Big Ten. It's just, you'd think a team of Oregon's pedigree, who's been number one for the last, 7 weeks, something like that, since
Something like that.
October, since they took out Ohio State. I expected more. That's all.
Yep. I mean, if you're looking for, especially recently, if you're looking for teams that look like complete teams, Ohio State has got to be in that conversation. I mean, the past 2 weeks, they have won by a combined score of 76-7. To be fair, those opponents are Purdue and Northwestern, but at least they're beating the shit out of teams they're supposed to beat the shit out of.
That's the big thing.
Will
They
Howard
turned it
put
on.
together.
Yeah,
And they're turning it on at the right time too.
They
down
are.
the stretch.
they are.
I don't know when this isn't until conference championships and everything, but I'll go ahead and put it on record and say I fully expect Ohio State to avenge their loss earlier this season. That's just me, but
I like
It's
that.
crazy. There's a man by the name of Kurt Signetti who's got some jangle in his pocket. It's got something to say about
hey
that.
now we'll get to that in the preview
Hey,
content.
yo! Clip that.
Who was
Mr.
on?
Mr. 106th ranked strength of schedule in the country. Look, I love Indiana. There's people in our comments that are a bit too gung ho about the Hoosiers. I love the story, and I can't wait for them to play Ohio State and really see what this team is made of.
Yep.
But you'll have to wait later in the video to talk about that.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yes, Oregon, like Cliff Notes, Oregon looked not good. Ohio State looked good. Georgia
That
looked,
game was in Wrigley?
yes.
That was weird. I don't know.
I mess with Northwestern. They're just bouncing around, man. They're playing by the lake. They're playing in Wrigley.
Yeah. Have y'all seen what their new stadium's going to look like? They
wild.
released a video about it. Like it's they kept calling it the Big Ten Chicago Stadium, so I wonder if that might also be where they move the Big Ten championship game to, because it looks an awful lot like a NFL stadium. I think that's by design.
So we're moving away from Indy.
I don't know. That is not confirmed. That is a hypothesis.
I get it. That might be a controversial decision. I'm not saying that they don't make it. I don't know.
Really a competition though, like Indianapolis or Chicago. Like Chicago.
Yeah, that's the thing is geographically, like city wise.
Yeah,
I will say,
it is.
Lucas Oil holds a special place in my heart.
Valid.
Love Lucas Oil, but
you know how cold it is in Chicago in December? It's fucking freezing. If I'm a player, I'd rather play in Indy.
Indy isn't much better in December anyways, but yeah, Chicago's probably got to beat a little bit.
If it's not the Northwestern Stadium, the Bears are talking about moving out to the suburbs, Arlington Heights. I don't know if that stadium will be indoors or outdoors, but they're kicking around ideas. So, I mean, maybe they'll move that.
That's an interesting decision for the Bears.
Crazy. Like, Soldier Field is iconic.
It is.
Like,
always something bigger and better.
It's tough, man.
But yeah, the stadium looks sick. But anyway.
Anyhow,
bring back the Georgia Dome. Sorry, I ride for the Georgia Dome even in its death.
I mess with it.
Every time Noah goes to a Falcons game, he stands there and salutes the parking lot that used to be the Georgia Dome.
Yep, that was my spot, man. I love the Georgia Dome. Good
the last place that the Falcons played that had aura for the team.
Yeah,
genuinely.
Not to shit on Mercedes-Benz.
No,
Love it.
The Benz
Great
is
stadium.
fucking
Sterile
sick.
shopping mall. Anyway,
Shut
we're getting a
up.
little.
Some might say.
Shut up. You love the Benz.
The Benz is fun.
Okay, bringing it back to the SEC. Shout out to Florida.
Yeah.
I mean, LSU has fallen off the fucking rails.
Yeah.
They have.
I genuinely think the fact that LSU keeps losing football games is the reason that South Carolina is being disrespected. And
It's valid.
we all know, we talked about at length how South Carolina got during that game.
Yeah, I was going to say, for any box score watchers out there, there's a couple of the most controversial calls of the entire season contained in that game.
Multiple pick sixes wiped off the board. Am I wrong? I know the one.
I believe
the one that was the most.
the blindside block.
Yeah, but I thought there was another one in that game. I'm not
There
sure.
might have been, but they got screwed over on multiple occasions in that football game, unfortunately. But hey, they played good football.
What's Brian Kelly's contract look?
Not good.
Because that man is getting into it with players on the sidelines, and not like Nick Saban and Will Muschamp getting into it with players, like kind of little man syndrome.
Yeah, not anything
Who the
respectable.
fuck you think you are? Yeah, like that kind of stuff. I mean, I will say the leash for Brian Kelly might be a little bit longer than what we think it is. They do have the number one player in the country coming in, Bryce Underwood, number one quarterback, 5-star plus guy. So the leash is a little bit longer, but I mean, definitely we are looking at Brian Kelly and LSU differently than we were 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I mean, he came in so hot, making the SEC championship his first year with LSU, set the bar pretty damn high with that. But, everything kind of evens back out a little bit. It's in the SEC, and LSU hasn't really had law of averages, and the LSU really hasn't had a hold on the SEC in a while now, and it's kind of hard to obtain that. I don't think LSU is a bad team. Obviously, I think they've been a bit disappointing this season, being out of the. I think going into the season, coming off Jaden Daniels' Heisman season, expanded 12-team playoff. There was probably I'm not super in tune with the LSU fan base, but probably a palpable, realistic expectation that they would at least be in the conversation for the playoff at this point in the season, and they're out of it, obviously, with this latest loss.
It was.
It was. So, if I'm the fan base, a little bit upset at that. But like you said, Noah, I think that leash might be a little longer, giving him a little more time. But I think if he doesn't make the playoffs within the next couple of years, and making the playoffs is easier now, we might be, looking for a new coach if I'm LSU. But
yeah, I mean, so yeah, Brian Kelly, the sky is not falling at LSU. Like, this is the first time that they've lost 3 games straight under him. And, yes, they are having a bad month, but he's love him or hate him, he's not a bad coach. Like, he has taken an LSU team and beaten Alabama a couple of times. He has taken an LSU team, lost the opener, I'm pretty sure, for the past 3 years, and then clawed his team back to relevancy in the middle of November. And another reason why his leash might be very long is there are about almost 62 million reasons why his leash is pretty long.
Yeah, that's valid. That is a good reason.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is also still an athletic department that is also still paying Ogeron from his buyout. Yeah, no, Ogeron is still receiving cash payments until the end of 2025.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's the dream, man. That is the dream.
I would love to get paid to see
Ed Ogeron, Jimbo Fisher, that kind of thing.
The best job in America is to be a highly touted fired head coach, especially in the SEC.
Yeah,
I would 100% agree.
Yep.
But
it also kind of plays into the whole the James Franklin of it, where it's like, if you move on from Brian Kelly, his floor is probably what, top 10, top 15 coach in the country, something like that.
Yeah, at least 8 or 9 wins.
I mean, and a job
Yeah.
like LSU, like the LSU job comes open, people are going to take notice. So who knows who they'd be able to snare if they, cut ties. But
That's valid. I mean, yeah, I have a hard time believing that they would be able to do anything better than a lateral move. I think most likely, if they did decide to cut ties, it would be kind of a spot where you have to take a little bit of a risk on somebody who's a bit more unproven, who could pan out to be, somebody like a hidden gem. But probably that route. But I was just gonna say, on the flip side of that coin, Billy Napier has done wonders to save his job at the University of Florida. I mean, the fact that they're within arm's reach of a bowl game this season, I think, is impressive. Coming from Georgia fans, they seem to get up and play for. So, obviously the other week the juxtaposition of we're keeping Billy and then flashing the score bug, getting the shit kicked out of him by Texas. But it's the same kind of thing where obviously Billy Napier's floor. I'm not comparing Billy Napier to Brian Kelly, by any means. But if you move on from him at this point, there's a buyout, and then you're taking a risk on somebody. They already took a risk on Billy Napier, so you're going to go out and take a risk on somebody else again. But
I also love how I say Brian Kelly's floor is 8 or 9 wins. They are currently 6-4 and only have 2 left to play, and one of those teams is Vanderbilt. So, and Oklahoma. Oklahoma is sneaky. So, I don't know. Jury's still out on how this season's going to end up for LSU, but I mean, they had an awful lot of key games that they just haven't taken care of business in.
Yeah.
But, that's the way the cookie crumbles. And as I've heard some of the guys I listen to on the Big Bets on Campus, it's an oblong ball. You have no idea which way it's going to bounce. So
valid.
Yep.
Very fair. Anyhow, running through the rest of this slate.
Kansas, BYU.
Boise State beat the shit out of San Jose State. Ashton Genty legacy game.
Yeah, and he's not going to win the Heisman, and I'm going to be upset about it, but he's not. We can have Heisman talk, a dedicated Heisman talk.
Yeah,
segment at some point.
He only had 160 yards and 3 touchdowns, but yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
How many touches did he get though?
Yeah.
How many?
Did
touches?
he get
it's not impressive.
Off a deflection.
He did get 32 touches. So
what if Travis Hunter got that many catches?
Ooh.
How many yards would he have? Anyways, shoulda, woulda, coulda. I mean, I'm not shitting on Travis Hunter. I think what he's doing is very impressive, very rare to see, especially in today's college football. However, not a very good argument from him. But I still think he probably wins the Heisman.
I mean, yeah, just because I feel like, he's an above-average DB, and he's an above-average wide receiver. He is the most athletic person on the field, no matter who they play, until they make the playoffs, if they make the playoffs. And even then, he has a case to be called the most athletic person on the field. Even if they're playing Ohio State, he still has an argument.
I'm telling you right now, they're making the playoffs.
I like that.
They got Arizona State.
Yep.
And then
with Kansas beating BYU, doesn't really impact BYU too much.
Sorry.
But with Arizona State being Kansas State,
door's wide open.
Sorry, they're at Kansas this Saturday, and then they host Oklahoma State to finish the season, and then they're probably playing BYU in that conference title game if they get through these two. BYU, and I mean we can talk about them as well.
Yeah.
Did not look good whatsoever.
Oh, no,
to a struggling Kansas team who's been below average and not met expectations this year.
Yeah.
Kind of took care of business. I mean that one clip is hilarious of the little quick punt from
the quick kick?
Jalen Daniels and right in the back of the head. That shit was hilarious. I think that sums up the whole game pretty well for BYU. BYU on their front. Not a lot went right for them.
Yeah.
Nope.
Ugh.
Nope. But
It's
yeah,
ugly.
Colorado is in the driver's seat. They control their own destiny in the Big 12. And it's not even they need help. They just received the help that they needed.
How
And
funny would it be? This is just pure hypothetical. I don't even know if this is possible. Um, Boise wins out. Colorado wins out. Boise, being the higher ranked of the two conference champions, gets the first round bye over Colorado, but they give Hunter the Heisman. I mean, if I'm Genty, I think I would gladly take the bye over
Yeah.
over
the
the Heisman.
personal accolade. Like, that's just me. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason he stayed at Boise State.
Exactly. He could have gotten a bag pretty
Yeah.
much anywhere else.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, for Colorado, genuinely, like you have to treat these next 3 games as playoff games
Yeah.
because that's
They are.
almost what they are. Because you're sitting at 6-1 in conference play, currently tied for first, but Arizona State and Iowa State are chilling right there
Mm-hmm.
at 5-2, and I'm trying to see if they have the head-to-head over either one of them.
Did K-State lose
I-
last weekend? I think they
K-State
lost.
K-State
They did.
lose.
Yeah.
So
Lost to Arizona State.
but they have not played Iowa State or Arizona State. So, listen, just keep it simple for yourself. Just win out. Call it a day.
Mm-hmm. It's all in front of them, and that's
Yep.
what I'm loving right now about the 12 team. There's so much more meaningful football
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
created in season. Back against the wall, elimination games in as early, in week 12 and even earlier. With Alabama, LSU. So
Yeah.
it's been a lot of fun so far.
100%.
How long till we go to 16?
Honestly, probably not that long.
Not that long.
No.
But shout out to the Cox taking care of business. Like,
yeah,
I don't know,
doing what they need to do. I mean, I know they're most likely out of the playoff conversation. Like we said earlier, I've heard some people, oh, this and this and this to happen, and like Noah's scenario at the beginning of the video.
Mm-hmm.
But they've been quietly one of the better teams as of late, as of the past few weeks down the stretch in the SEC.
Yeah.
Not overall record, maybe, but
yeah.
Yeah.
I got something to say on this one. To those of you out there who watched my video on Friday, I said this game would be close. And in the comments, I was berated. I got told, no, South Carolina's going to beat them by 60. This game's over at halftime. This and that. Like, yes, I use some hyperbole calling it a potential game of the year. I do that from time to time. It's called showmanship. It's called flair.
Look it
Read
up.
a book.
man's been watching Better Call Saul.
Yes. I'm slipping Jimmy. Anyway.
Hey, yo.
Told you so. It was a good game. Told you
It was
so.
a good game.
Very good game.
It was a good
Very
game.
good game.
People sleeping on Mizzou, man. That pissed me off.
See, but like the thing is, every time Mizzou's played a ranked game, they've
Yeah.
gotten their asses whooped. So like, I understand what the people had to say in the comment section, but like,
Yeah.
Brady Cook also.
I
South Carolina-
ride for Brady.
They
Cook.
did not have to start Drew Pine,
Exactly.
so that kind of helps a little
Yeah.
bit.
I mean, South Carolina is a good team, but they're not world beaters. All right, they win close games.
They're going to
They're-
be damn good next year. Next year.
Yeah,
Woo.
yeah, they are really fun to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're making a playoff push next year. It's impressive. Beamer ball is working.
They get Bama at home next year, dude.
If they beat LSU, they'd be making a playoff push this year.
Yeah, absolutely. They almost beat LSU, almost beat Alabama. I know shoulda, woulda, coulda. Doesn't matter. They lost, but I mean they're right there.
Yeah, they're right
It's
there.
been impressive. Georgia, biggest game of the day. Our biggest interest of the day. If you've been a viewer of the channel for a while, it's not hard to tell where our interests lie. Typical Georgia slow start, turned it on.
Yeah.
So it's not good for my health, but it works.
Shout out Carson
Also-
Beck.
Honestly,
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Came out through a damn good game, no interceptions. Carson Beck needed that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Game.
Had a
That-
sneaky 350 passing yards.
Yes. 347, I believe. Two
Yeah.
through the air.
Crazy.
Both
Did
to
not
top.
feel like it.
2 through the air, 1 on the ground.
That
3 total.
scramble for that touchdown, he earned my respect back.
That and
that
then
was
the
really-
scramble where he lowered his shoulder and kind of bowed over a DB a little bit.
Yes.
Um,
Let me
I
introduce you to Jay Cutler. You see that video on TikTok?
Yes.
That's the vibes it gave me. That's the vibes
Mhm.
it gave
Just ran him
me.
in.
no, I love it. I love the grit out of him. It's refreshing to see, and he's obviously very much still fully invested in this team. That I wasn't really questioning that. I was just questioning his ability to throw the ball to the receivers on our team. But it seems like he has turned a new page. Hopefully, knock on wood. At least last week he did turn a new page for that one game at the very least. And so I saw a stat on Twitter that under Josh Heupel, Tennessee has only scored 1 passing touchdown against Georgia
I saw
in the entirety of his tenure
I saw
at the
something
University of Tennessee.
similar. 0 third quarter points in his entire tenure against Georgia. 7.
The 7 straight, right?
8 straight?
Is it 8
I
straight?
think it was 8.
It was 8. Yeah, I saw a graphic
Yeah.
stacked 4 and 4. It is 8.
That's hot.
That is hot.
Yeah. I mean, Georgia continues their dominance. Haven't lost to Tennessee since the I think they call it the Dobnail boot, which is very original. Get your own name, but you know,
Black's
we
creativity,
won't.
2 out of 10.
Yeah, we won't revisit that. That was a very large swing of emotions, but since then, I mean, it's been dominance from Georgia.
It does.
To be frank, Tennessee came out, put up 10, and then basically Georgia. I don't know what the run was. I mean, the rest of the way out, 31-7.
Yeah.
The rest of the way out
That's
after that.
wild.
So
And Tennessee had not allowed more than 20 points in a game.
yeah,
On-
I mean they've been playing good defense.
On
They've been
Sports
playing
Center,
good.
it was prior to College Game Day. I saw a stat. I think there's only been 8 teams through, I guess, like 10 or 11 weeks that have allowed less than 20 points. Tennessee was, I guess, the 8th one. The previous 7 had all won the national championship.
Yeah.
Mm.
Sorry.
Well,
Ain't gonna happen. Sorry, brother.
sorry if we have any Tennessee fans that are viewing our channel. I don't know how many, if any, but we had to take a little victory lap.
Yeah. I'd love to
you
see
know.
like a breakdown of everyone's like. Maybe
Yeah,
we
can
put
we
out
get
like a Google sheet.
Yeah.
Type in
Who's
percentages.
yeah.
No, we should definitely. So you know how like you look in like a YouTube studio or a TikTok studio, and you can see like the demographics. That
Yeah.
should be a category.
That would be so
That'd be
cool.
sick.
College
I would
football
enjoy that a
affiliate.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But
it was a great game. It was
yeah.
one of those where I was sweating bullets in the first half, and then you blink and it's like, oh shit, we're up 3 possessions. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, it was very much like that, and I think one of the more underrated things that I appreciated out of the Georgia offense was the utilization of the tight ends.
Yes.
Obviously, Delp had a day. Lucky had some touches. Even Urasic finally got something going after being a dropped ball, missed block machine all season. Had a pretty clean game. So, I mean, it was a pretty clean game offensively all around. You still got, I mean, drops are still an issue. That's still the glaring issue. But the offensive line, shout out to them after one of the worst performances out of a Georgia offensive line in recent memory last week against LSU. Came back and did what they needed to do. Or not LSU, sorry, Ole Miss. Different former SEC West team, but against Ole Miss. And they're a very, very good front seven. Got handled. So they came back out this past Saturday and handled Tennessee's front seven much better.
It's always good, like, because you know that the offensive line got their asses chewed.
Absolutely,
like,
and they deserved it.
You know that. Like, their manhood got called out. And, like, they're probably seeing all this shit on Twitter and Instagram or whatever. It's like, you're seeing all the sack celebrations, all the TFL celebrations on ESPN, and
Right.
you've got to step up. You've got to step up.
I heavily criticized the offensive line. Right hand up. I will take accountability.
I think we all did.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I don't think it was, undeserved.
No. Well,
I mean, they got their lunches eaten.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as a former jack of all trades offensive lineman, pulling guard and fullback, like, we're a little sensitive when it comes to the boys up front, right?
Yeah.
Like, we probably focus on the offensive line play more than 75% of college football fans.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'd agree.
I remember watching Georgia games, and I'm like, oh shit, nice block. I'm not even watching what the quarterback's doing. I'm like, oh, beautiful blitz pickup.
Look at that pass set.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
but no, it was a refreshing win.
It was
absolutely, and I mean, I was saying before this game, backs against the wall, Georgia at home, night game, rival in Tennessee. If they couldn't turn it on for that, then I don't know if there's any point in coming out for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
So they did what they needed to do in the moment where they needed to do it, and it's. I was going to say all in front of them. I mean, it is pretty much all in front of them. You went out, you're in the playoff. Not the SEC championship necessarily, but, you went out, you're in.
You want to play well enough to make the playoff, but not play too well where you make the SEC championship game.
The funny part is... Yeah, that's where I'm at. The funny part is we're done with conference games, so we can play it as well as we want, and the SEC championship is completely out of the hands of Georgia.
That's true.
Yep.
So they do not control their own destiny in that aspect. But in terms of the playoff, they very much do.
Yep.
Honestly, it's fine with me.
We can have. I was about to say we can have that conversation, but it sounds like we're on the same page. And
I think we are very much on the same page. Go watch my go watch a TikTok I put out earlier today. This would be Monday, so a couple days ago, whenever this comes out. But I don't want to make the SEC championship as a Georgia fan.
Yeah.
I think I'll take the extra week of rest and potential, depending on how the rest of the playoff field shakes out, potentially hosting a first-round playoff game in Sanford Stadium. I'd take that. I'd take that deal. That's a damn good deal.
Against a most likely, no disrespect to the rest of the country, but against a most likely lesser opponent.
Absolutely.
God, give me Penn State and Athens, please, dude.
Oh,
give me that.
I'd be salivating.
Dogs by 60. Kirby Smart would tear James Franklin a new asshole, dude.
He would make James Franklin feel like he was back at Vanderbilt.
Yeah, probably.
I like that.
Anyway, all right. Dogs?
I think it's dog time.
Cool.
We've got some
shit
guys to choose from. I don't know if I have locked mine in. I have somebody in mind, but
I can go first if you need me to.
Maybe I had one in mind. You know what? I'll go first because
Okay.
I just saw something. Something just came across my desk that I cannot ignore.
Okay.
So sorry, Drew, if I'm stepping on your toes here.
It's okay.
But the performance of Lenora Sellers cannot go unnoticed this past week. Closer game than some South Carolina fans might have imagined. Not a closer game than Noah imagined because he called it. South Carolina pulls out a 34-30 victory against Missouri, continuing their pretty good run after dropping a couple games earlier this season. South Carolina is sneaky in the SEC. Very good team. Lenora Sellers, 353 yards, 5 touchdowns. So he put on a clinic through the air. And a team that's been predominantly, ground and pound with Rocket Sanders at the helm of that running back room. I did have money on him on a prize pick. Didn't hit. So hats off to you, Lenoris, for selling that. But, an impressive performance all around from him. And he also added 45 yards on the ground. Lenoris Sellers did. So almost 400 all-purpose yards on Saturday. So is he a true freshman? Or is he?
He is a true
He's
freshman.
young. That's insane.
Yeah.
Soccer. We talked about it earlier in the video. If you're watching this in its entirety, if you're not, go watch the other videos. But
Hold on, I might be wrong.
South Carolina is poised to be very, very good for next year and down the stretch. They have a lot of very good young players on their
They
team.
do.
Yeah.
So that is my dog. Hats off to you, Lenore Sellers.
Being able to handle those environments and be able to handle those games as an 18 or 19-year-old is stupid impressive.
Absolutely,
I know he played well. I didn't know he played that well.
Yeah, that's why I was scrolling through, and I'm like, damn, that is a stat line that deserves Dog of the Week. But
Yeah.
no, he is, because I remember earlier in the season, getting criticized against Alabama. If he knew how to look up and run downfield, they would have been up a couple touchdowns on Alabama or something like that. So I mean, he's a young kid. There's growing pains throughout the season, but he's turned it on. And Beamer ball is alive and well in Columbia, South Carolina. So.
Yep. I think I was one of the people singing that song. Like, hey, if he knew how to read a fucking block, he would have 2 rushing touchdowns right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying he is.
He's turned it on.
He's progressing as a quarterback very nicely, and he's going to be a problem for a lot of teams down the stretch in his career. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I am very glad, as a former yearly opponent of Georgia, that we do not have to play South Carolina this year. Because if there's one thing that Kirby Smart's defenses have trouble with, it is a running quarterback.
Yep.
True.
So just to get it off the table, this is not my dog, but I think we're kind of required to. Shout out to Ashton Genty. 32 carries, 159 yards.
I swear to God, if you take my pick, I'm going to kill you because Genty is going to be my backup.
Oh, okay, good. 3 touchdowns in a 42-21 rout over San Jose State. I will be very surprised if we have the same dog.
Okay.
All right, let's see it.
Okay, now I'm kind of nervous. Shout out to Brashard Smith.
You're good. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, thank God. Okay, all right.
Furiously, shit, who do I pick?
Who? I'd be like,
fuck.
Who do I get?
But no. Brashard Smith, also at the running back position for SMU. The man had 18 carries and 120 yards and a touchdown. Not really, where you want your dog of the week to be as far as scoring. However, I think that the yards speak for themselves on those amount of touches. He had a little trouble finding the end zone relative to his yard production, but this also set up the rest of the offense to score on the receiving end as, the SMU quarterback Kevin Jennings was able to throw for 3 touchdowns that were in the red zone. In their 38-28 win over BC to stay in the driver's seat in the ACC.
Mm-hmm.
So, how about them Stangs, boys? That's great. If you would have told me at the beginning of the season that SMU and Colorado are both in the driver's seat of their respective conferences, I would have told you to kick rocks.
Mm-hmm. And that's the beauty of college football. But no, SMU's turning on. I picked Brashard Smith earlier this season. I forget which week. He's been balling out for SMU. Transferred over from Miami. They are putting it together. Brett Lashley and the gang. It's been impressive. It's been very impressive to see the ascent of SMU in a wide open ACC.
Yeah.
So the SMU Miami Conference Championship is going to feed families. That's all I'm going to say.
100%. I might watch it twice. I might have 2 screens.
For the same game.
Same game.
I might have 2 screens for the same game. Exactly.
Skycast? Yeah, I was about to say ESPN Plus does
Give me the end zone.
Give me the all 22.
Yeah, there you go.
God, I wish they had that for college football. I want that for college football so bad. It's only NFL. Alas.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to round us out. Initially, I had the homer pick in mind. I was going to pick Carson Beck.
That crossed my mind as well.
However,
it crossed. Yeah.
Something has just come across my desk, John, that I can't pass up. It is Tyler Warren, the unicorn of the 2024 season, Penn State tight end. had an absolute day. Now I know they played lesser competition. They had Purdue 1-9. Ass.
Yep.
However, what this man did, he's in a league of his own. He's gonna run away with the award for nation's best tight end, the name of which is slipping my mind.
So why did he only touch the ball 3
Mackey.
times against Ohio State?
Exactly. He's gonna
Okay.
win the Mackey Award. Yeah.
Yeah.
If James
That's a good question,
Franklin
Drew.
were worth a damn, I would have given it to him every snap. He touches the ball before our quarterback touches the ball. Like,
Honestly.
if I'm
Honestly.
making rules. Anyway, 8 receptions, 127 yards, and a touchdown. And then on the ground, he pours in 3 carries, 63 yards, and another touchdown.
Insane.
Damn.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I'm looking at the
No,
box score right now. He's the leading rusher and receiver in this game.
Wild. He's an animal.
If he caught snaps, he would also be the leading passer too.
I would let him. I would let him.
Yeah. Why not?
We haven't seen a tight end like that. Gosh, I'm trying to think. The last tight end anyone really let run the ball like that.
God, I wish Georgia would have let Bowers do that.
The efficiency
a little more.
is insane.
No, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's big for Penn State because not to shit on Drew Aller, he struggled some. If Drew Aller has a reliable target like that who can kind of do it all and make separation and give him some easier throws, it's looking better for Penn State in my opinion.
Wide receiver has been the issue for Penn State the past few years.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They have not had a reliable pass catcher. So this is a pretty big development. Yeah.
No, you gotta. I mean, helping out Aller, and he's still progressing as a quarterback. I think he's made some steps since last year, kind of regression against Ohio State. But like I was saying, if he has a reliable target who is able to create separation and give him some of these easier reads and throws, you can get him in a rhythm, and who knows? So it's big for Penn State.
Yeah,
because I think as integral as Todd Monken was being as the offensive coordinator for Georgia when Stetson Bennett was the quarterback, I also think having the security blanket of Brock Bowers being open no matter what is also really good for a quarterback who's looking to take the next step from decent to good and then from good to great.
We saw it with Beck last year. Carson Beck had Brock Bowers, and he was that much more reliable. Fooled a lot of us, but I mean, he's kind of bounced back. But it's a lot easier when you have that security blanket. So
no, it helps you out a lot. I mean, you could go through your entire progression. First, second, third read, look back to whoever it is, Warren Bowers, and they're open. Mm-hmm. So you know that you have a reliable target like that. It's huge for an offense.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Good deal.
Very nice.
That's dogs.
Thank
you for watching. If you're watching in the shorter version of this video, and if you are, please go watch the longer one. I'm begging you.
That's where our true personalities come out.
If you don't, I will cry. Thank you. All right.
We'll put it there. That'll be the end of that video.
Love
That'll
it.
be the outro. Anyways, we can move on to a little bit of preview content for the upcoming week. Let me pull up
Georgia UMass.
These games.
It
might be a tough
stinker.
Might be a tough slate. And then the best game is being played on Big Noon Kickoff.
Oh, thank God.
Which the only good thing about that is that it gives me plenty of time to spend the afternoon with my wife.
There you go.
Facts.
Yeah, that's right. You're damn near close to calling her your wife.
Yep.
Crazy.
My wife.
My wife. Fucking L.
You want to talk Georgia
Let's
UMass?
There was.
do it.
I could have sworn there was one game that we wanted to watch in the evening.
I know Army and Notre Dame are playing on the Cock.
Mm-hmm. On the Cock. There's some interesting SEC matchups in the evening. They don't really mean much. A couple of them don't really mean that much. Well, okay. So we'll start with the one that I was saying didn't mean much. Vandy and LSU. I think that'll be a fun one. doesn't really have any implication for much. They're both bowl eligible. They're both not going to make the playoff. LSU's at home and is a 7.5-point favorite over the Commodores.
God damn it! I wish it was 10.5. I would take Pavia to cover it all day of the week.
Let's see where it moves. It's still early.
It is still early. I mean, LSU's at home. They might get a little more of a bump.
I
Do
hope
you know
so.
Pavia leads Vanderbilt in rushing?
Yes, I
didn't know that. I don't know ball.
I did know that. And
That
that's
is
only because
impressive.
it's only because I keep betting on him.
That's valid.
Yeah.
A&M Auburn also.
That's
And Jordan Hare.
Mentioned it earlier.
Spoiler?
A&M is a 2.5-point favorite at Auburn.
Ooh, if you're Auburn, right? Like, I don't know. Do you just fuel the rest of the season by playing spoiler?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
If you can spoil one of A&M or Alabama's season,
That's
why not both?
I would. Why not both? Because I mean, what are they right now? They're not making a bowl game. I mean,
if they went out,
spoil Alabama A&M and make a bowl game.
It's a good win.
I know.
I'm just saying.
So I mean, they still have something to play for.
Yes. Coach Freeze, let me talk to the team. Let me talk to the team.
5
but
minutes
no, I mean
in and out.
Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah. I mean, Oklahoma could do the same for Bama. You know what's sad? What's sad is that I'm actually rooting for Alabama to win that game. Because if Alabama loses that game, then Georgia becomes the front runner to go play in the SEC championship game.
If I'm playing in the SEC championship, I don't want to play Bama.
100%. I would much rather play Texas again.
Yeah.
However, I would rather just not play the SEC championship game.
Take the week of practice, stay healthy.
Correct.
I would concur with that sentiment.
So let's go Tide? Question mark?
Alabama's
I didn't like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alabama's a 14-point favorite in Norman for that matchup.
I might take Oklahoma to cover.
I think Oklahoma keeps it close.
Close-ish?
Close-ish. They just looked so meh the whole season. I mean, they're 5-5. They're a mid team this year. It is what it is.
Definition of mid.
Perfectly mid. Which is not a bad thing. There's worse things to be than mid. So I'm not shitting on you, Oklahoma. They've had their ups and downs through the season.
I am.
Maybe a little bit.
In SEC.
I was about to say it's not the fact
I didn't
they're
realize
5-5 overall. It's the fact they're 1-5 in the SEC.
Yeah.
That's tough. That is a bit difficult.
Them and Texas are kind of a perfect inverse. Texas is 5-1 in the SEC.
Yeah, but in the season preview video, we all knew that the expectation for Texas was much higher than Oklahoma.
Absolutely,
correct.
Yeah, for sure. And Texas got a bit more of a favorable pull of a schedule.
Yeah,
in their first year in the SEC. So
just
there's also that.
Georgia. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Oklahoma kind of ran the gauntlet. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean,
just played everybody else.
Pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, looking at their schedule, what they played.
Tulane, founding member of the SEC.
Founding member, correct.
Tennessee, Auburn, Texas,
Ole Miss,
South Carolina, Ole Miss, Missouri.
Yeah, it has not been easy. They've played
Alabama and LSU to close the schedule.
Yeah. That's
at LSU, which it is tough.
Yeah. But we'll see if Oklahoma can make it close in that game. Obviously, I'm more okay with an Alabama win in this game than I have been in games past.
Yeah.
And I will say, I've said this before, if Milroe plays like he played against LSU, I don't really think there's much any team can do to beat them. If your quarterback is the best athlete on the field through the air and on the ground,
yep,
and he's playing his A game, that's just there's not really enough guys on the field to defend that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also going on this weekend, we have the Pac-12 championship game.
Hell yeah.
Sersky.
Love it.
The
RIP.
8-2 Washington State is taking on the 4-6 Oregon State
On the CW.
on the CW.
Hey, that's America's network.
It is.
The crazy
There's
is,
nothing wrong with the CW. Tom Brenneman is over there now. We got some
I
quality
Catch
additions.
catch them Pretty Little Liars reruns afterwards.
I actually have access to the CW. Like, I would rather a game be on the CW than Peacock.
Honestly, yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's like cable. It's on like streaming, like whatever. Yeah, I would agree. I'm not going to go out and like pay for a streaming service for a football game,
Just
a
for
singular football game.
So you're not
No, I
catching
mean-
Army Notre Dame on Peacock?
I'm watching. I'm just not.
I'm
I have
Correct.
alternative methods that we won't discuss on this YouTube channel for reasons, but I'll be watching.
I won't give NBC Universal my money, but
I've done
No.
that one time, and it was for the Olympics, and we paid for 1 month of the subscription because the first month was free.
I did it for the wild card weekend game that they made a Peacock exclusive. I think it was like Rams Lions. That was
those
so
are great.
annoying to have to do that BS for one game.
Yeah. This is a side note, but I kind of hate. I have Amazon Prime, but I kind of hate like whenever I go out to eat on like Thursday nights, I can't watch the game because nobody
Nobody
has
even-
Amazon Prime
Yeah.
is putting it on their televisions.
Yeah.
That's a bit annoying.
Could you imagine asking like the assistant manager at Applebee's to log into their Prime at work?
Could you log into Amazon Prime? Could you pull it up? I will log into mine.
Bring me the laptop. I'll
Yeah.
I'll log in. There's an HDMI cable back there, right?
Mhm. I brought my own, actually.
I brought my own.
Always got one on me.
That's right. Hey,
It's
what's
my
the
belt.
Wi-Fi? What's the Wi-Fi password? That's right. But yes.
Yeah, but no, I prefer them to not be on streaming services,
Yeah.
so I have access to them. But we do have other ways to watch, so we're
I mean, looking at the slate this week, let's be honest, guys. Like, this is the week that half of the ACC and SEC are playing UMass, UTEP, the Citadel, Wofford.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
your pre-rivalry week
It's an apple picking week.
game showdown. Yeah,
yeah,
it's your fall festivity weekend for sure.
yes,
The one that you circle on your
means-
calendar at the beginning of the
which-
season. So
which means this is going to be the craziest weekend in college football.
absolutely,
Likely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because every like quote unquote apple picking slate that we've had so far, Vanderbilt beat Alabama
Yep.
and South Carolina beat LSU. Like not LSU, Texas A&M. So I mean you literally both obviously I'm gonna watch the Georgia game, but Ohio State and Indiana play at noon and Georgia UMass kicks off at 12:45. After that, pretty open night. Now, hopefully, we'll be back home and like settled and everything by the time.
you want the opportunity to watch football if you so please.
100%,
Yeah.
and I'm going to because I'm very curious.
Kid yourself.
I'm not going to kid myself, but I'm just saying, like, baby, we got about a 3-hour window here where we can go do something.
Let's get it.
I'm tuning
Pretty
out of the
great.
Georgia game at about 3:15 probably.
Yeah. For personal enjoyment purposes, I would like for the Indiana Ohio State game to go deep into the fourth quarter.
Oh, that would be amazing.
However, just don't think it's going. If I'm
I don't know, Jim.
Yeah.
Let's
I
talk
know
about it. That's a good segue.
Yeah,
That is a good segue.
I alluded to it earlier with when Brandon made that comment about Ohio State winning the Big Ten. That a man by the name of Signetti would have something to say about that. Ohio State is currently, they opened it as 11.5-point favorites. They are currently 13.5-point favorites.
Ooh.
I'm
taking that if it gets above 2 touchdowns.
If it gets above 2 touchdowns, I have the notification bell on it.
Let me know.
Yeah, absolutely. If he gets above 2 touchdowns, looking at it deeply. So we will see, but I don't know. It's Indiana's not getting any favors by this game being in the shoe. I think at this point, if you are looking at the spread, right, you have to ask yourself, who would win if they played on a neutral site? Penn State or Indiana? If you have to even think about it, I think you would take Indiana to cover.
Yeah.
Because Penn State lost by what, 7, 8?
Yeah, I mean, I find it hard to believe that Indiana doesn't make it a game. Obviously, the the talk of the town when it comes to Indiana in college football has been their strength of schedule. It's
Yeah.
glaring. It's hard not to bring up because it's a point of contention. And not to say that what they've done isn't impressive. I mean, I think I said it earlier, and I think this is the right number. It's like 106th, or it's over the 100th hardest schedule in the country season thus far. So there's that, but also, I mean, really at the end of the day, you can't help that if you're Indiana. They've won the games. They've won every game they've played, right? So I mean, you can't knock them for that. And this is the big one for Signetti and the boys. I would love it if Indiana won. I truly, truly would.
Yeah.
I just don't know with everything that Ohio State has.
Yeah.
That they can swing this one, to be perfectly honest. And I feel like this is a lot of pressure for Ryan Day too.
I agree.
I mean, letting the conference new coming head coach kind of knock you off in the beginning of the season. It was already bad enough with Oregon and Landing. But to have that happen again in the same season. The talks have already been had about Day in the past and in this season after they lost to Oregon. They've been able to right the ship since. However, this is a big one for Ryan Day, I believe.
Yeah. I've got a sneaky feeling about this game.
Mm-hmm.
I think, we've talked a lot about Signetti. He's, one of those guys. I don't know if y'all are aware of the history. Like he coached wide receivers under Saban at Alabama. He recruited Julio Jones. This dude has been around for forever. He went the D2 route, ended up, JMU, bringing them to D1, and then jumping over to Indiana, where he is today. But he knows what it's like to be the underdog. He thrives in that role. So I think this week, the game plan is, hey guys, no one expects us to win anyway. So fuck it, right? Like let's go for it. Let's pull out all the stops. Let's, run some trick plays. Let's do this thing.
Yeah.
I think
that's a good point. I mean,
they're going to come in without a worry in the world. All the pressure's on Ohio State here.
I would agree. Even though they're undefeated, I still think there's a sense of they have nothing to lose.
Yep.
They have outperformed expectations tenfold. Now, I mean, obviously, you've outperformed it so far that you're in playoff conversations, which is something to keep an eye on. But still,
number 5 team in the country.
So, I mean, I'm not saying they don't keep it close. I think they fight tooth and nail to the end. And if they're going to win, I feel like it's going to be, like some of these SEC wins this season. They're going to have to control time of possession. They're going to have to chew clock, and they're going to have to dictate the pace of play.
Yep.
And because if you leave it in the hands of Ohio State, they, objectively speaking, have higher rated recruits and better athletes their side of the field. Signetti is going to need to outcoach Ryan Day.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
I mean, I completely agree. And at the end of the day, if I'm Signetti, obviously the only way to guarantee that you make to the playoff is win this game, appear in the conference championship game, and then no matter what, as long as you make it to the conference championship game, you are in the playoff. However, if they lose this game, the season is not over. You are looking at, after Ohio State, you're looking at Purdue at home, and we just talked about how bad Purdue is. So worst case scenario, they're 11-1, kind of sitting in a similar level as Georgia, where it's like, okay, are we really mad that we didn't make the conference championship game? No. So I think that obviously it would still be better for them to win this game. So I do think it's like, hey guys, listen, as long as we don't lose to Purdue, we've pretty much locked up a playoff spot.
Right.
We might as well fuck around and
It's-
try to win
Yeah.
this game.
As
I
a
mean-
competitor, you're always going to want to go for it, and like you're going to want to go for the Big Ten championship.
Yeah.
But it's a very enviable position. I get what you're saying.
Well,
They could have it
I
both
know.
ways.
Yes. So like it's like, hey, we have nothing. Like I'm expanding what Brandon said. They have nothing to lose here. They have already done the work
Yeah.
to make the playoff, or at least they should make the playoff. So at this point, it's like, hey, see, I think the problem with teams that get in this position who aren't used to being in this position, they get to this point in the season and they have a real road test at the end of November and they start playing tight. There's no reason for Indiana to play tight.
None.
Like this game, unless they get absolutely blown out, there's no reason for them to be worried about this game. The expectations are on the floor. You're not expected to win this game.
Yeah.
You should already be in the playoff no matter how this game goes, unless you lose by 40. And even then, I don't know.
Another thing they
Yeah.
got going for them, like Indiana, just as a program, it is probably historically one of the worst college football programs of all time. Like they have been bad, and they have been bad for 100 years. So
This is their first 10-win season ever.
Yeah. They had a little blip named Michael Penix, and then
Even he couldn't stay healthy. I mean,
I was going to say he couldn't stay healthy, and he was off to Washington. And then now you have just this roller coaster-esque ascension
you got the man
with
locked
Signetti.
up for a decade. That's
Yeah,
big.
and rightfully so. If you win, so it's their first 10-win season in program history.
Correct.
Is that correct? I didn't know that. I
They've
mean,
been around for a long time.
lifetime that man.
Yes.
Seriously.
Statue.
Even if
today.
he can't, he's raised their floor substantially. And like y'all were saying, this isn't a must-win game because, one loss Indiana will probably make the playoff. The only thing is how much does the committee value strength of schedule? And I honestly don't know that much at this point, how much that comes into play. It's definitely a factor.
Yeah.
Obviously, they don't want to leave it up to 12 people in a room discussing their fate. But, worst case scenario for them is they probably, if they lose this one, drop a close one to Ohio State on the road. You eke in at the back end of that group of 12 teams.
Mhm.
So, which is, for Indiana,
Yeah,
that's a fucking win.
That's ridiculous.
That's huge.
That is-
I think-
your first 10-win season of program history, you make the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's massive.
Yeah.
Massive.
I think if they keep it below 21 points, is the spread, I think that they should at least be a top 10 team in the country at the end of the season.
Yeah, if you're saying that Ohio State, what are they ranked right now, number 2? If you're saying that they're the number 2 team in the country and Indiana goes in to a hostile environment against Ohio State at home, and keeps it close, you know what I mean? They're not that far off of Ohio State if they're truly number 2.
Yeah.
By that logic. But
And yeah, let's okay, hypothetically, Indiana goes into the shoe and wins. How far does Ohio State fall?
7 or 8. It's their second
I like
loss,
that.
a home loss.
Yeah. Nestled in between.
They're down there. They're down there in the Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss collection.
Okay.
the 2-loss, the 2-loss little pocket there in the top 10.
Yeah. The 2 loss teams that genuinely have a shot to win a national championship. I agree.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, I mean, you lost to the number one team in the country, and then if Indiana beats them, then probably the number
Number 3, number 2.
3, 2, depending.
Well, they're already 5.
Who's
So
3
I
right
mean,
now?
if they're
Titans.
no, they're 2.
They wouldn't
Sorry,
be above. Would
right?
they be above Texas if they win?
Undefeated Indiana would
Indiana,
be above Texas.
yes. It would be
Yes.
Oregon, Indiana, 1-2. It would have to be.
Yes.
That
The
And
only
then-
two undefeated,
Crazy.
only two undefeated teams, and then now Indiana has a win over Ohio State. They're number 2 if they win.
Home game in Indianapolis?
Don't tell
Hey,
me
now.
with a good time.
Hey,
Come on
yo.
now.
Yeah, no, this is one of the better scenarios for the Big Ten. Looking at it from the beginning of the season, didn't really expect anything like this to play out. I love the a bit more parity, and not parity, but like, the expanded upper tier of the Big Ten with the addition of Oregon and the emergence of Indiana. Because in years past, it would just be, oh, Michigan sucks this year, and then Ohio State beats Penn State like they do every year. So it's Ohio State.
Yep. And it's Ohio State kicking the living shit out of
Iowa.
Wisconsin.
Yeah,
Iowa.
Iowa. Yeah, fill in the blank. Halfway decent Big Ten team that still can't hang. So
yeah, I mean, it's funny because like we're talking about this whole scenario between the top 3 teams in the Big Ten right now, and James Franklin and Drew Aller are just sitting back throwing down popcorn.
Yeah,
like
they're chilling.
Yeah, they are chilling. Like,
I mean, they're number 4 right now. They're fine.
They got a
They are
first round
fine.
playoff game to lose. They're too busy.
They're like that's how I feel about how I feel about Georgia, except in that, like, they only have the one loss. It's like, well, shit, we don't make the conference championship. Fine, we're ranked number 4. We'll run out on our schedule. Ohio State, Indiana are going to play each other anyways, so like that'll happen, and then Oregon will play one of them. We're chilling.
Yeah.
I'm Penn State.
Yeah,
So.
like the more that I think about this, I don't even think it's non-con scheduled that we've got to worry about. Like, as far as like some thoughts that have gone around about the committee and like prioritizing record over strength of schedule and like quality of opponent, I think that just your conference record has really, like, not your conference record, who you draw in conference play has been the greatest differentiator.
Yeah, absolutely.
In how your season goes and how you are treated by the committee, because Penn State has lost the only real game on their schedule this year where they play an opponent that is at their level. And it was an ugly loss. Yes, it was only a touchdown, but for anyone who watched the game, it was an ugly loss.
Yeah.
And they are being not celebrated. They are being fuck. I don't know the word.
Rewarded.
Thank you. They are being rewarded for only having one real game on their schedule.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue that they are in one of the best spots in the entire Big Ten. You sit back and watch the rest of the Big Ten cannibalize themselves at the top, and you're unscathed because you don't have to. You already played Ohio State. You don't play Oregon or Indiana, and then you sit back and watch or Ohio State play Indiana, and the winner of that play Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then you just watch the carnage and then slip in on the back end of wherever that settles.
Yeah, grabbing.
It's a great spot.
Yeah, grabbing a sneaky 5 or 6 seed.
Yeah.
This wouldn't be as big of an issue if the committee just valued strength of schedule, because
they just don't.
They just don't, and it makes no sense. Because call me a homer. I value Georgia's 8-2 over Penn State's 9-1. I do.
I would agree.
Georgia's 8-2 is impressive as hell. They lost two road games in raucous environments. I don't know. Penn State has done pretty much nothing to impress me and convince me that they're a national title contender. I don't know.
Because, okay. Play with me in this hypothetical scenario. Because Texas could very well have been in the same boat as Penn State. If Texas A&M was normal, mid Texas A&M this year, then Texas and Penn State would be in identical situations. However, Texas is in the driver's seat. Because of all the carnage that has happened outside of the Georgia-Texas game, Texas is still in the driver's seat.
Play soft schedule, get rewarded.
And honestly, now that they will have a probably ranked matchup at the end of the season, that might be enough to bolster their resume that even if they lose the SEC championship game, they're probably still in.
But the flip side of that is like the only two legitimate teams they play. Say Texas and Alabama end up matching up. Texas loses similar fashion to how they lost to Georgia. Just kind of gets dominated. SEC, premier programs will, they normally rise to the top in games like that. They out physical you.
Yeah.
But who is Texas beat?
Okay,
A&M.
but look at A&M.
Vandy.
A&M missing their number one running back. A&M.
But dog, it's a 2-loss SEC runner-up.
I know.
Like
No, I don't know if I agree with them making it, but they'll make it in that scenario.
You have
to. They will.
You have to.
Where it gets interesting is if a 3-loss runner-up. That's the really interesting one.
Now, because. So, like, I mean, the thing is, like, does a 2-loss Texas that lost in the SEC championship game bump out an Ole Miss or Georgia? Because it's like, well, we can only. I mean, guys, like, hey,
there's only so many SEC teams.
Exactly.
That you can bring to the.
But we
playoff.
can only really, like, max, we can bring 6 of y'all. Max.
I think less than that. I think 4.
Yeah, I was going to say 6 is, max, yes, but realistically, I think 5 is pushing it.
I think 5. I think 5 is the max, just because the committee would never hear the end of it.
Yeah, let's count that out. Texas, Georgia, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Bama.
A&M.
I think Tennessee is the odd man out there.
I was going to say, so in that scenario, if we're only taking 4, who is Texas in that scenario? Runner-up Texas, 2-loss Texas, bumping out. Somebody's going to be pissed. That's all I'll say. It's going to be entertaining. It will be.
Dude, Tennessee has the win over Bama.
But still, I don't know.
The thing is, it's just all like, it's not even a circle at this point. There's so many points of like, they beat them but lost to them, and like it all like comes around.
We just need to have like an hour-long video where we just argue scenarios.
I think we could.
We definitely could. What are y'all doing tomorrow?
I was actually thinking about streaming tomorrow, the rankings release.
For the rankings?
Yeah. Let's do it.
They drop at 7.
What time is that? 7?
Mm-hmm.
I'll double check with the
boss.
The wind beneath my wings over there.
Yeah.
Well, if you're still watching at this point in the video, thank you for watching, first of all. Second of all, we will be streaming in some capacity tomorrow, whether it's 1, 2, or all 3 of us. So please do tune in. This will be up tomorrow, probably tomorrow early afternoon. Yeah. So if you're watching it now, tonight, I guess it would be. At what time are the rankings? 7?
7, yeah.
Yeah, tonight at 7, we'll probably hop on a little earlier. Keep your eye out for that. We'll talk even more scenarios. And we'll have some fun for sure.
Would love to. Good deal.
But anyways, that might put a nice bow on it. I like y'all said, we could talk about this for hours.
Yep.
And that's one of the better things to come out of the 12-team playoff is there's a lot more ball to talk because there's a lot more scenarios that exist out there. If this is a 4-team playoff, that could be another good one, a good video or a good segment. If the season. What would the 4-team playoff picture look like right now? But we could save that for later. But I'd like that as like a short or long form idea.
That. Write that down. Anyway, Brandon,
write that down. We could do a short and long form on that. But anyways, that's for the editing room for our computing purposes for content.
Shout out to everybody in the support that we've gotten on TikTok specifically.
Yes.
Oh yeah. 1,000.
Yes, we broke the 1K mark. We are currently sitting at 1,020 followers. Brainstorming right now. Let's go live on TikTok tomorrow. Why not?
Figure out how to do that.
Yes. So if anyone is looking for the behind the scenes on how decisions are made around here, this is it. But that's all I really wanted to say.
Anyways, we're gonna wrap it there. So thank you for watching. If you're watching this would be the preview. Shorter one, or if you made it all the way through the long one, we really appreciate you. Not more than others, maybe a little bit, but no, we appreciate any of you if you've watched us in any capacity. it surely does mean a lot to us, and your continued support helps us do this. We like to talk ball anyways, but being able to interact with the community and do it is even better. So let us know in the comments your thoughts on anything you want, really, or anything you want to see from us. We'd love to hear from you. But yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.